Hello, this is a video. This is 5 things I miss about World at War Zombies. Coming in at number 1, the Pack-a-Punch from World at War was kind of the best version. Hear me out. In terms of how it made a gun feel, it brought a distinct difference to both how it looked and also how it sounded. It had this sick kind of like wind down noise when you'd shoot back in the day. It kind of sounded a bit like a supercharger from like a Hellcat. It was crazy. It also had the most gorgeous Pack-a-Punch camo. I talk about this in so many videos. I love the World at War Pack-a-Punch camo. Not only was it a gorgeous kind of engraved, chromed out design, but each individual weapon seemed to have had it mapped perfectly to complement like the actual design of the gun itself. Like you look at it here on this PPSH and everything falls into place. You can see that the pattern's perfectly aligned with the drum mag, and this kind of thing echoes onto every single weapon. As you cycle through each and every one, you can see that all of the little details seems to be mapped just perfectly, and I love that. And it's still the only Pack-a-Punch camo to do this, by the way. And then you've also got the visual effects with that purple muzzle flash. I miss the kind of muzzle flash we would see in World at War. Like, I can't quite explain it, but you blend it all together with the sound effects and the weapon camo, and it just, these weapons just felt better once they came out of the Pack-a-Punch. They felt so dramatically improved, both in how they performed and how they felt to use. Nowadays, it feels like when you Pack-a-Punch a weapon, yeah, it gets buffed in terms of damage, but it doesn't really feel like much more of an evolution past that. And of course, back in these days, there weren't weapon kits or anything like that. So sometimes when you Pack-a-Punch a weapon, it would actually come with a dramatic change in functionality as well, like explosive pistols, changing the firing mode to be fully automatic, stuff like that. The World at War Pack-a-Punch just felt special, and nowadays it just doesn't. The second thing I miss from World at War Zombies is the Nacht zombie noises. Back when this mode was a prototype and, you know, hadn't been fleshed out at all, it was literally just a development experiment that made it into the final build of the game, even though it wasn't actually intended to. There were zombie noises in this particular map in Nacht of World at War, and only this version of Nacht as well. But the zombie noises just felt way more real. Like, we all know the iconic zombie noises that were in zombies for like so many years, like spanning multiple Black Ops games. But World at War's Nacht zombie noises just hit different in some inexplicable way. I mean, when you heard that followed by a mass of just very uncomforting screams, you just knew things were ramping up and getting very intense. It was actually genuinely intimidating. I actually wish that these zombie noises were used throughout the rest of World at War, but literally from the moment Verrückt came out, we got given new zombie noises that stuck throughout World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops, you know the story at this point. It went on for a number of years. And don't get me wrong, they are cool and they're iconic, but yeah, something about these Nacht ones were just special. Especially that dude that just sings, like, what was that? What was that about? I don't know what that was, but I love it. Third thing that I missed from World at War was the variation specifically of box weapons. The weapons in the mystery box in World at War had so much variety. Sure, you could bring out a shotgun or an SMG, but you could also bring out a semi-automatic rifle that's got a grenade launcher attachment built onto it. You could find yourself a belt-fed LMG, a 357 Magnum, a flamethrower, by the way, an anti-tank rifle. I mean, the variation was just incredible. And this was also back in the day where there wasn't any kind of weapon rarity system. So the mystery box truly was a gamble. You could end up with a weapon that was genuinely terrible, or you could end up with a weapon that was basically god tier. And I liked that. It made the mystery box an actual mystery. Whereas nowadays, you kind of spin the box, you're very likely to grab yourself a fully automatic weapon of some description that's of the rarity of the round you're on, so they all kind of perform the same. It's not much of a gamble anymore, is my point. It's just, do I get a wonder weapon or do I not get a wonder weapon? That's kind of how the box feels now. Whereas, yeah, back then you could be shafted. You could be on round 28 and be given a Kar 98K. This isn't no Warzone Kar 98K, okay? This is liquid ass Kar 98K. Like 50 shots to take down a zombie kind of ass. I miss the days, man. I miss the days. Weapon variation in World at War, especially in the mystery box, was king. The fourth thing that I miss about World at War Zombies is the map ambience. I don't feel like this one needs to be explained. Atmosphere made the game infinitely better, and the atmosphere in these maps in particular are basically second to none. Let's roll some comparison clips to make my point emphasized. Do you see what I mean? I think you get it. The ambience in terms of audio design as well as visual design with the fog and the distinct color palette that was used in each map. You know, you had the factory Doris, which was, you know, very blue, very vibrant, very dark at the same time. You had Shinonuma with, you know, the classic piss filter kind of thing applied to it, where you had just an overgrown slurry of yellow and beige, and then you had Verrückt and Nacht as well that kind of had their own distinct vibe to it. But you couple these visual elements with the sound design as well, that was also very, very distinct in each and every map, and you kind of have a very immersive environment, even though the graphics of World at War are, you know, they're from 2008. It looks dated, but it still feels immersive, and that's a testament to how well they nailed the atmosphere and ambience of these maps. And it's so good, in fact, that they couldn't even recreate it when it came to Black Ops 3, for example, with Zombie Chronicles. The remastered versions of these maps did not bring the same ambience and atmosphere that these classic versions did. I'm telling you, they knocked it out of the park, and you have to play it to understand. Genuinely 10 out of 10. And I will give credit to Terminus from Black Ops 6, because I actually feel like this map does a relatively good job of bringing that kind of feeling back again. I think it's the only recent map I've seen that has come even remotely close to it. And the fifth thing that I miss most about World at War Zombies is, without doubt, the challenge. The challenge of this game. Now, of course, some of the challenge does come from the fact it is buggy as hell. And we're not really going to count that. The fact that when you knife a zombie and they kind of just grab you up like you're at a Diddy party, I mean, that's not really what we're not going to count that. But generally speaking, the damage drop-off of weapons, combined with how strong the zombies get, combined with the fact you could only pack-a-punch one time, and again, the pack-a-punch was only in Doris anyway, ultimately what you were left with was a very, very challenging experience. And what I loved about that is that it meant that the zombies games that you played didn't last forever. And this is a problem that I have with the modern era of Call of Duty Zombies, and that includes, actually, I'm going to include Black Ops 3 in that as well, because the same story goes for that. Things got too easy to the point where if you played an online public match, it was a case of how long can you be bothered to play before you just either killed yourself or ended the game. It was not a case of that you actually died because things got too hard. That doesn't really happen anymore. You could even put the Rampage Inducer on and still survive pretty comfortably because of the weapons and because of the mechanics that are built into the game to give you an infinite number of second chances. Whereas with World at War, there was no second chances, there was no hand-holding, and it was basically a case of each game, depending on how skilled you were, lasting maybe 1 to 3 hours. That was it. Then you would die. And it made public sessions more enjoyable, in my opinion, if you went to just search for a random game with random people. Because you'd know you get stuck in, you'd need to cover each other, you'd need to help each other out. And as a team, you would perish before one of you decides to leave, most likely. Whereas now it's a case of if you play a public session, everyone's a lone wolf because everyone can just survive by themselves. And basically, eventually people are going to leave when they get bored. That's what happens now. So the challenge of World at War is one of the things I definitely miss most about it. I miss the 2-hit downs without Jug. I miss weapons actually becoming ineffective. I miss the Verrückt sprinters. I didn't even mention that. Verrückt sprinters specifically, I wish they were in every map, but these things were terrifying. And I am glad they kind of brought them back in Cold War. And I think Black Ops 6, to be fair, they're basically Rampage-induced zombies. But yeah, I miss those two. But blending all the elements together, yeah, World at War was just brutal. It was savage and it had an immersive atmosphere. So the challenge coupled with the immersion made it a terrifying experience, and that's the ultimate formula, if you will, that makes me still play World at War Zombies to this day. Let me know your thoughts down below. That was a quick summary of what I miss about World at War Zombies, but I'm sure there's other things that you guys might enjoy, or plenty of you who are watching this video who might have never played it. If that's the case, if it becomes on sale, buy it, try it, you'll actually love it. I'm pretty convinced. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.